Hey guys, Kyle for Rifle Dynamics. I want to talk to you today a little bit about mounting slings when it comes to AKs. If you're more used to modern systems, especially the ARs, where you've got 1913, M-Lock, key mod, all that fun stuff for mounting slings and QD slots, but you wanted to start getting into AKs and let's say you're not seeing all that stuff on here, because if I pick up, let's say our 703 Classic, this has got all the traditional features of an AK. I don't see any of that stuff on here and I'm confused and scared. Please help. So I want to help out today with getting slings mounted on here. So I want to point out here with traditional AK, the best way to get those modern features, I would say, is get a different rail, Ultimac top rail, or M-Lock or quad railed lower handguards. There you go, you got your mounts for that stuff, then you can start running your more modern slings. But let's say that doesn't work for you. You need to preserve that timeless aesthetic here, especially of a wood furniture gun. Well, on these traditional guns, you're going to have two sling mounting points. First is going to be on your front handguard retainer. That is your sling loop. That's that funny little thing that burns your hand all the time. So on there is what you would traditionally mount. This is not a proper traditional sling, but this is like it. And you just loop it in through there, clip it in, and you're set and ready to go. Do the same on the back. On the back there, for your stock, you're gonna have, on this one, it's on the bottom. On some other fixed stocks I've seen, you're gonna have some on the side towards your body, if you're a right-hander. And then even on some side folding models like 100 series, you will also have your sling swivel right there. Today, let's say I wanna mount a more modern sling to it, but I still need to have this gun. I'm gonna introduce you to your best friends. These are two examples of the universal wire loops from Blue Forest Gear. This is one that's typically found on their AK slings, and then this is another one that they have available. This specific UWL is a little bit more of a, I don't want to say semi-permanent, but it's not a quick disconnect style setup initially. With the UWL over here, what you'll do is you just push that little wire out, unloop it, and then unloop it right there. Take it to your sling mounting point, guide it through, and then just guide it back through on the sling mount itself. You're done, ready, set to go. But let's say you're not using this one and you're using the traditional Blue Forest Gear wire loop. What you'll do with this one instead is you're going to disconnect it from your sling. If it's pre-attached, you can also buy these separate. You're gonna squeeze the end of here on the wire just a little bit, get it through that eyelet, and then you are going to loop the wire through there like that and tighten it down, and then that one is set and ready to go. What is really nice about these wire loops is that little eyelet there in the center. Something I forget all the time is the fact that this is actually a QD mounting point. So I love my traditional AK, but I really need to have my modern two-piece quick disconnect sling, like, oh, my Faro Concepts one right here. That eyelet is a QD slot. So instead of picking up a specific mount for it, I can just QD slot that in there, do another one on the back, loop that through on that end, and there we go. I have a two-point quick disconnect sling, if that's the thing you're into. But otherwise, if you aren't using QD swivels like that, you can just use pretty much any open-ended sling. Loop it through, tighten it down to your preference. Same thing on the back. All right, so I've undone my backside, and then I will now just loop it through this loop on the bottom. I'm saying loop a lot today. You can go that way, and it's perfectly viable. But for some people, that sling mount there on the bottom might not be comfortable, especially if you're trying to wear the sling in a more traditional method and not just over the shoulder. You can, with fixed stocks, also loop your sling over the narrow portion here towards the front of the stock and the back of the receiver. So just bring that right over and start looping it through. Now personally, I don't think that's the best option for mounting the sling, but it does make it easier if you are trying to keep that sling over your shoulder there. All right, so what if you're a lefty and you prefer having your sling hang off the right-hand side of the rifle, but your sling loop is over here on the left-hand side? I'm gonna show you something here that Chris Seislove of Blue Force Gear showed me at one of our Red Octobers, I believe it was 2021. Actually a really neat little thing that you can do to make sure it's a left-handed setup. So how we're gonna do that is we're going to take our gas tube off really quick. So verify that the rifle is clear. And I'm going to remove the bolt and carrier. All right, now that all the internals are out, I can access the gas tube. Just undo that lever. And if you have trouble with that, you can always use the grooves on your bolt carrier as a wrench to loosen that up. Okay. All right, now that our gas tube is off, what we'll do is we're going to mount our UWL more facing towards the front rather than the rear of the rifle. Then from here, we'll have a little bit more space for us to lay the UWL across. And with this, you'll be able to keep your sling loop on that right-hand side. And for those of you concerned of, oh, it'll burn my sling loop, the material that the UWL is coated in is extremely heat resistant. Like I mentioned, when Blue Force Gear mentioned this to me, it actually, they just run through all the courses with that sling setup. So now my sling loop is there on my left-hand side, on my right-hand side. And after that, just reassemble your rifle, but now you are set up for left-handed sling use. All right, guys, that's been kind of a quick overview on how to mount slings on more classic AKs. If you're interested in seeing more on how we like to run the slings ourselves, stay tuned, we got some more video of that.